Howdy, how's it going? This is Tyler from Shirt of Shame, and I am bringing you your breakdown for UFC 209, Thompson versus Woodley 2. With the co-main event, of course, being Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. I'm going to start this off at the beginning of the card. This is a great card. I'm really looking forward to it. At the beginning, we have Alistair Overeem coming off of his loss to Stipe Miocic. Going up against Mark Hunt, who's coming off of his grounded into the dirt by Brock Lesnar wrestle humping him. I don't know, I'm going to try and keep these family friendly for some reason. Well, juice to the gills. I'm actually really surprised that Mark Hunt is even fighting in the UFC at this point. Maybe he's reached some kind of common ground with Dana White. Maybe he's just trying to finish out his contract so he can go somewhere else, probably Ryzen. Wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be kind of cool. Going into this fight, we are seeing Overeem come in with a 6-inch height advantage and an 8-inch reach advantage. That is monstrous. But then again, Hunt is a smaller guy in the heavyweight division. Oddly, this is just a weird fact, their leg reach is considered about the same. Hunt is a pretty stocky guy. Let's see. Going into this fight, there's some factors you got to look at. I'm saying, of course, you have to look at the curse of the Overeem. Anytime I pick him, he loses. Every time I go against him, he wins. So I am gonna, so let's see how this one works out. I'm pretty confident in this one. I won't make my decision yet. I gotta lay some stuff out. But let's see how the curse actually comes out. I am not saying like, oh, I want Hunt to win, so I'm gonna pick Overeem. No, I'm actually making my honest prediction here. Hunt, you have to realize, has never actually beaten a elite fighter in the UFC, not a top 5 guy. He has wins over Bigfoot and Nelson and Struve, but he's never beaten one of these guys in their prime. He's lost to Verdum, he's lost to JDS, he's lost to Stipe. But Overeem is still in that top 5. A win over Overeem would be huge for Hunt, cementing his legacy. Overeem is walking in. A lot of people aren't going to realize this. This is an actual rematch. Overeem won the first one with the Kimura. But we're looking at a different Hunt. We're looking at a different Overeem. Overeem's a lot smarter fighter now. He's got a great fight IQ. And quite honestly, he's going to spend a lot of this fight running. You saw it in the Stipe fight. Overeem has no problem turning his back and physically jogging away from his opponents, which is what you need to do against Hunt. Do not stay in a pocket with him. You will always lose that fight. Roy Nelson lost that fight, and you have to run Roy Nelson over with a truck to knock him out. Overeem will try and keep distance. He'll spend as much time as possible outside of Hunt's striking range, and he'll pick his shots. Look for him to do a lot of body shots and leg kicks. I kind of like how he did in his Roy Nelson fight. It's a very similar style of opponent. I like Hunt, but I just think that this is not going to be a good fight for him. I'm picking Overeem by decision. After that, we got Lando Vernata versus David Tamur. A lot of people are going to look at this fight like, why the hell is this even on the main card? Maybe this card is very weak, so they're just throwing a couple of nobodies on. But as I learned more about these fighters, this fight is going to be one of the best fights of the year, I'm predicting. It's a bold prediction, but I'm really looking forward to this fight. Lando Vernata has a very relaxed, very loose style, while David Tamur is all swagger. He's a dancer in the ring. He talks shit. He's a great guy. He's a great fighter, and I think he's got a great future. Both these guys have a great future in the UFC. Both a pair of phenomenal strikers. Tamur is walking in with a 2-inch reach advantage. And he's got some second round KO wins over Jason Novelli and Martin Svensson. He's a nasty striker, throws heavy with brutal leg kicks. It's very painful to watch. Venata came into UFC, short notice replacement for Khabib to fight against Tony Ferguson. I think that's Khabib. Maybe it was the Michael Chiesa fight that was supposed to happen. I should have done research on that. And Venata turned a lot of heads when he almost won that fight. He hurt Ferguson quite a few times in that first round. And then after that, he followed up with a brutal head kick KO over John McDessie, a fairly underrated lightweight as it is. This fight is going to look great. Lots of swagger, lots of dancing, lots of weird stuff that you just do not know what to expect. The loser is going to be the guy who isn't able to adapt to a funky style from his opponent. And I think that Venata has seen a lot of stuff that Tamur is going to throw at him. So I'm going to jump on that train, and I'm going to say Venata by KO. After that, we got Dan Kelly versus Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans finally making his long-awaited debut at middleweight. He was walking into this one with a 5-inch reach advantage. I'm kind of getting the impression that this is a fight that was kind of just thrown out like, let's see if Rashad can get cleared and actually be able to fight again after all of his medical history and all of his and possibly some issues at middleweight. This is a good shake off the cobwebs fight for him. As a light heavyweight, it's fairly obvious he's going to come in with some advantages. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage coming into this fight, and Rashad likes to keep the distance. That reach advantage is going to be huge playing into this one. Rashad is very much more light on his feet than Kelly has ever been. Kelly is kind of a plodding, almost lazy-looking striker, but he somehow makes it work for him. Kelly finds a lot of success when his opponents get a little too much confidence. It's not like these guys are talking trash. It's not like they're dancing. It's not like they are doing anything that's going to get them in trouble. But once their stock rises a little bit, then he turns up the heat and lands a massive double leg and then just grounds out his opponents. It's pretty impressive. I could see that happening in this fight, but I'd be dumb to throw money away on that. Kelly's got some wins over Chris Camozzi, Antonio Carlos Jr., and Steve Montgomery. Some of those guys are some veterans themselves. I can see a future for Dan Kelly. Maybe this is his big coming out party. He could be a star after this one if he wins this one, but I just see Rashad taking this one and running with it. It's just, I don't have much stats or analysis to back it up. I just think that Rashad is going to stay light on his feet, work the outside, maybe work some wrestling. Dan Kelly's not great off his back. He's great at defending submissions, but I think Rashad's going to get into a good position and hold him down and then just lay into him with some ground and pound. After that, we got Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson for the interim 155 belt, because everybody has an interim belt now. Ferguson is walking in with a 6-inch reach advantage. That's going to be huge. It's harder to shoot in on somebody when you have to do it from a further distance. Since returning from his long layoff, Khabib dominated last-minute replacement Darrell Horcher and Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson was a terrible style matchup. That was a hand-picked opponent for Khabib to make him look good on which happened to be the same card that Conor was fighting on. Imagine that. Ferguson is coming off of wins over Edson Barboza, Lando Venata, and the biggest one of all, Rafael dos Anjos. Ferguson is on a 9-fight win streak. Khabib is undefeated, so he's on a 24-fight win streak. Unless you want to start counting his amateur fights. If he has any. I don't even know. when you look at this, Khabib is a guy who his real success is getting guys down and getting them in positions that it's very hard to get out of, like the crucifix or that weird mount where you wrap up the legs so they can't roll you. It's hard to bump and roll when the guy's sitting on your knees. I can see Khabib getting into one of those positions, but Ferguson has one of the best ground games in the lightweight division. Works with Eddie Bravo. I'm really excited to see how Ferguson handles it once this fight hits the mat, and it's almost a guarantee that it will. But that being said, Ferguson does come in with a much more significant striking advantage. I can see Khabib grinding him out. I don't see a finish for that one, but I can see Tony knocking him out or submitting him. It could go either way. But when I have to make my choice, I'm going to say Tony Ferguson. A lot of Khabib fans are going to hate that idea. They're fanatical about his abilities. But the thing is, I will give you this. I think that while I do think that Tony will beat Khabib, I think he's the only guy in the division that can beat Khabib. Tony has the great mix of ground game and stand-up to be a nightmare. He's the only guy that's a terrible style matchup for him. So Tony, I'm pulling for you. I want you to win this fight. Please do. And last but not least, our main event of the evening, Stephen Thompson versus the champ, Tyron the Chosen One Woodley. Their first fight was one of the best fights of the year, hands down. So you don't even have to do much research. You just need to look at that fight and just say what both these guys need to change. And whoever is able to implement these changes is going to walk away with a belt. When you look at Woodley, he hands down, plain and simple, needs to wrestle. Don't go for submissions. Just use your wrestling to get on body control and beat Thompson down. You had a 10-8 round when you did that the first fight. That first fight, the first round, you got on top and you destroyed him. That's a 10-8 round. Do that again. Do that for 3 rounds. Thompson, he needs to use what brought him to the ball. What is that expression? Dance with who brought you to the dance? I don't know. Thompson needs to blitz. Keep his distance, then shoot in with a 3-punch combo and get the hell out. Don't stay in the pocket with Woodley. He's a decent counter striker, and he has the power to sway this fight, as you probably saw in the first one. Thompson needs to implement a jab to keep Woodley off of him. Avoid kicking. Thompson didn't kick much in that last fight because the only time he did, Woodley took him down. When it comes time for me to make my pick, I kind of got to go with the champ. I got to say that Woodley will reopen those wounds in Thompson's whole arsenal. He'll make the improvements. He knows what he did wrong. Thompson is going to try and go out there and just do what he did the first time. He's going to try and look for the perfect shot to knock him out. Woodley is going to implement changes. He's going to adapt. And that's what MMA is all about. Adapting to your opponent's style. And I think Woodley is more capable of adapting to Thompson's style than Thompson is to adapting to Woodley's style. So, I'm going to say decision for Tyron the Chosen One Woodley. Agree, disagree, I don't care. But it would still be nice if you commented, repost this, retweet, share on Facebook, follow me, whatever. I really am just getting desperate with these. Please love me. Okay, this is Tyler from Sure to Shame, signing off.